Ulonka tabati yada to ye kuma daifa. Ino to ye ko je love bipa. Oba tala, oba takutakun. Songo eshu, ogun oya osun. Kini sheshe, tan she nile yo. O jelo jara.
Alafia, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Ifayemi, and what's good, tribe? We got a new guest on today, and before I get into that, I want to give y'all a shout out. I want to give a thanks to everybody who, the new subscribers to the channel, new member subscribers, new Patreon channel, community subscribers, and just for all the love and support, man. Shout out to the elders. Definitely had some dope interactions with some elders that's part of the tribe on Patreon, man, and that within itself, I think I said it on the one we did the other day, it's refreshing and it's humbling. Like it makes me proud, because the work is working, and especially to have, elders to tune in and tap in with us, man, to see what we got going on. So with that, I give a great thanks to each and every single one of y'all. And without further ado, I would like to introduce this powerful force, because we want to keep this big mama's house energy and feminine energy, divine energy going up in this thing. So with that, we're bringing in one of the realest and one of the biggest, and I'm talking about the mama energy, but also daddy energy, because there's only one that I know that's just as big as my papa, and boy, and this queen happens to be a child of the other one. So with that being said, peace and blessings, Alafia, Iya, Olomitutu. What's going on with you?
Alafia, thank you so much. Olomitutu, Ifayemi, Sister Tria, all that good stuff. I'm good. How are you, Black man? Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored. I'm humble. Listen.
Listen, it's an honor and a pleasure, and it really is. And it's funny because I was just having a conversation, I think this weekend, and just time traveling. I remember going back, I was thinking about being in the room, and I was like, it was one thing to be in the room and see how much goes on behind the scenes that we don't know, and you won't know until you actually go to that phase of your journey. But personally, it was like, wow, I had no idea how much went into it. You know what I mean? So it was like seeing that from the inside looking out, it gave me a whole nother level of love and appreciation, not just for the tradition, but for those who it takes, the village that it takes in order for us to get to that next level on our journey. And you was one of the ones who, was there, man, like even outside of having to be. And so like, I really appreciate that, because it gave me a different level of appreciation for those who, really rock with you, because that, your time is our most precious asset, you know what I'm saying? Like more so than money or anything else. So when people, to me, I feel like not only do they like help me out with their time, but I know it's truly supportive. Like I appreciate that. And I do my best to pay it forward, to people likewise as well. So with that, I really appreciate you coming on and joining the show.
You know it. This is a beautiful thing. The process of being able to be in the labor and delivery room as Africans are reborn and return to themselves is an honor. Obatala has carried me through many things, so I will always be a servant to Baba. Obatala, I'm surrounded by Obatala. Like everybody close to me. My daughter's Obatala, Concave's Obatala, Regina. My sisters are all Obatala. So the Obatala energy is very close, and Obatala and Olokun like this, and they got a little friendly rivalry, but it's also a brotherly, sisterly love. So that's how I go. Absolutely.
Ashe. And listen, I'm gonna leave that that rivalry to the guys, because I don't want none of that. I don't want no smoke.
I know that's right, though. I have a problem with it. No, that's not what I deal with. That's above me.
Above my pay range and above my rank. I don't want none of it. And speaking of Obatala, shout out to Baba Zoe, because I believe yesterday was his birthday as well, man. So you're talking about Obatala. Shout out to him, man.
Shout out. Think of my shade, Baba Zoe. And absolutely.
Man. So yeah, with that, I'm ready to get this thing cracking, man, because I think, far as I know of, you're the first Olokun priest or priestess that I've had on the channel, or I should say we've had in these Ashe streets, man. So I'm looking forward to that conversation alone. But we can't just jump into the full course meal. We got to put some appetizers out there. We got to put the little salad bar, the little snacks, you know what I'm saying? We got to work our way up. We got to work our way up to the full course meal, So with that, first and foremost, for those who don't know you and know your journey, I do know before even the Orisha, you was a revolutionary. I remember we was on the same ticket doing spoken word together, if I'm not mistaken. Shout out to the Loud Girl, Nandi with Phil's Loud. I think that's where I very first met you, if I'm not mistaken. So that was with it, you know what I mean? So with that, how did you get into, your spiritual journey? Like, when did your spiritual journey begin for you, and how did that happen?
Birth. Birth. So I tell my story. I tell it all the time. Those that are around me, I was telling my sisters last night, I was like, I'm gonna be on a big platform. I don't know. Usually I'm just telling y'all my story all the time. But I tell my story all the time. It definitely starts with the ancestors. I'm from Tampa, born and raised. And I was raised by old country Floridians. Like, I'm second generation Sampanian, my great grandparents from North Florida, that area. And so I grew up with African tradition, not knowing it was African tradition. In our traditional systems, in our traditional languages, and therefore in our culture, there's no indigenous words for old folks' home or daycare, because that's not a concept. That concept comes about with capitalism, right? We go through stages of life, and so I was honored to grow up in that, where my great grandmothers kept me. My grandfather, my grandparents, and my mom were of working age. My mom was starting out, and so when my mom was working, I was with my great grandmothers on my maternal side, between the two of them, and one of them, Hannah Ford Ibadatsarun, was a worker, and so early on, I was never made to believe that seeing spirits or communing with spirits was an unnatural thing. I could see a spirit as clear. She could see a spirit as clear as I could, and she would guide me through that. My grandma Loni Ibadatsarun, her middle name is my middle name, and so my namesake, my heart, she taught me the power of prayer, and not just the belief of Jesus, though she was a Christian. It was the power, it was the belief that in my tongue, in my ability to speak things into existence, that was something I was given early on. And then my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, was the biggest light of love you've ever wanted to meet. And I was her heart, and could nobody take that from her, until I found out everybody was in her heart. My grandmother passed. Everybody in the family, as they began to get a speech, they began their speech with saying she was their best friend. And I was like, hold on, people.
I know that's right.
My bad. So, but that's the kind of love that Hattie Ibadatsarun had. So those are my beginnings. I grew up super church. When spirit's always been important to me, right? I've been a spiritual person. I remember when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a preacher. And then I grew up Baptist, so they told me girls didn't preach. And hurt my little feelings. So they told me girls didn't preach in the Baptist church. This girl do. And then my aunt, King Kamashe Linda Wilson, taught me how to speak and taught me how to advocate for myself with my words. I was 4 years old when I had to stop crying and use my words. So I had to learn words early. The moment I could read, by the time I was 5, if I wanted to know the meaning of a word, and I've always loved words, I had to go look it up in the dictionary. So that always made me an avid reader. And I had to read the Bible a lot. And so I grew up where spirituality was important. I know Proverbs and Psalms like the back of my hand. I know a lot of the Bible. So when I came to the impasse of where I felt like Christianity had done all it could do for me, and these chambers began to unlock, and all kind of books happened. Because my spiritual journey, African spirituality is a revolution. So before that, what had happened was I was looking for knowledge. I was thirsting for knowledge. The door had been cracked. So many. I didn't walk through a lot of schools because I've always been logical, and spirit gonna take you where they need you to go, and we ain't got no time to play. So they didn't walk me through all the schools of esoteric knowledge. They walked me straight to Black Power, and then straight to the Orisha, because that's where I had to go. So around 32, which is the freezing point of water, my pineal gland tapped into something, and it was literally like a download. And during that time, it was, blood is cleansing, even when it's a terrible event. And I talked to a lot of Africans, and they had this same moment too. They were set on the path by the slaughter of by the slaughter of the Black men in the early 2000s. 2010s. Starting with Trayvon Martin for me. Trayvon Martin is about like around my little brother's age, and so when they killed him, all I saw was my little brother, and I understand everybody died by my little brother. So excuse me, he's 31 now, so I'm not allowed to call him little. My younger brother. So my younger brother, and that set me on a trajectory, right? So that set me on a trajectory to want to know. And then I came into a Black Power space, met some powerful Africans, gained into some knowledge, and my computer opened up, and I went through a year of insomnia, and I was doing nothing but collecting information. I didn't sleep. It was clear. And then Orisha put me in a place where I was working a job, and usually it was a fast-paced job. I worked at a call center. For some reason, I was placed in a queue where I didn't get no calls. So I was clearing out a book a day. Any book I could get my hand on that was African-centered, I was just reading. And so, brother, I ran into a lot of brothers. They would notice my books. I had brothers at the job who would come by, see a book on my desk, and suggest another book, and I'm just reading. And so I ended up at poetry events, because while I was on my knowledge journey to heal my mind, my spirit was needing CPR as well. And so I was rebuilding my spirit, and I went the intellectual route, because that's what we're taught to do, right? Not understanding that there was a spiritual connection that needed to be done. And I was done with Christianity. And so when I come into the RBG phase, what I notice is I'm not noticing spirituality. I'm hearing folks saying that, the Black man is God, and indeed. However, they're not connecting to a source. And I'm like, no, something missing here. It's something that goes on that connects us all as Africans. It's, we've all done it. We'll walk into a room, and it's me, it's you, and another African. You don't even know that African, and there's a bunch of others in the room, and they get the othering, and y'all make eye contact, and immediately y'all have a whole conversation with your eyes that only Black folks understand. And that's that spirit that connects us all. It's something about when you think about somebody and your phone ring. That's a spirit that connects us. And so at the time, I didn't know what it was. So I prayed to the universe to send me some sisters that could give me this information, because I was running into brothers with knowledge, but they lacked emotional maturity, and they were I didn't know how to protect my light at the time. So I was running into a lot of brothers that would give me a book and try and give me something else, and I wasn't on that path. So I asked for a sister to come help guide me, and the ancestors sent Sister Iyapo. Matter of fact, she be everywhere, right?
Because matter of fact, I gotta salute her, because she the one that that's how I met Baba Zoe and Iya Guade, because that's a small event that she put on. And shout out to Oyabile as well.
She put on an event with the Marcus Garvey Day event, and I was gonna be in the building. And on that particular day, the Olafemi family poured the libations to open up the ceremony. They told us about a Lori Temple. And then boom, I got the best of both worlds happening. Because a Lori Temple was all about knowledge, and then the application of that knowledge happened in the same time. You didn't just show up to a bembe. You learned etiquette, you learned the culture behind the performance. Because that's what's important. And I'll talk about that a little later, because I think that's what we confuse with culture. We could confuse the performance with the culture, and the culture is the core. The culture is the why. The dance, the singing, that's not the culture. That's the expression of the culture. And so, shout out to Duro and my Ajak and my Ialosha, and just how they open their home and their family and this culture and saved it for the community and share it openly. It's a beautiful thing, and it's and Oshunbumi, Olafemi. I say it to this, and I dare anybody to challenge me. We could talk about it. If you know this culture and you are born in the U.S. of African descent, you owe in part your knowledge of this culture to Oshunbumi. Oba Obireen, Oshunbumi, Olafemi.
Yes, sir. Listen.
That's how I get here. Those Africans saw something in me I didn't see and lent all the ashe against naysayers. There was people who, Orisha Baby, those people who said I was going to die in the room because they don't crown a Lokun straight.
Yeah, I heard that. I remember hearing that.
Lokun rest upon my head, not my shoulders, on my head.
Ashe.
Absolutely.
Yes, man, listen. So I want to give another couple more shout outs to some big mama energy, man, because that's the biggest of the big mama energy. And for those who are newer to the channel, I know firsthand, like, because the last, I'll say maybe 2 or 3 months, there's been a lot of mama energy in here, like big mama energy. I think from like June, like into May, it's always been here, but I think we really started highlighting it heavy. I want to say around June, going into the summertime. And so some people who were new, that might have been something that, was cool, because they kind of caught like a tailwind of, a lot of it continuing throughout the summer. But to be real about it, ain't no Ashe without Yeye. And the very first episode is with her. I would not do it with anybody else because I wanted people to know from the very beginning where I come from and my lineage and who, like got me to the position where I'm sitting here today. So we're going to honor that big mama energy. And the first Oba that I know of in the United States or in the world for that matter, Woman King, that, we just, that was last year? Yeah, last year. We just went to her coronation for her to become the Her Royal Majesty, the HRM. So with that, shout out to Yeye, and then shout out to Wunam too, because me and her doing a live after this show tonight, family. So I'll share the link to the interview with Wunam. She just started a new podcast called, I want to say it is Stars of the Shrines. So shout out to her for having me on that. But with that, you spoke about a lot in that I could go to, but I want to go to your, not just the journey, and shout out to the Queens of Olori as well, but not just that, but you spoke about the culture. That within itself was a conversation I just had too, about do melanated brothers and sisters born in the Americas of African descent or who are indigenous here in the Americas, do we have culture? And I was like, man, that's a hell of a question. I would love, I was like, that's a whole show within itself. So I don't.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna make folks mad,
You hit on it, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna give them a cliff note for now because we had a topic. I want to stay on it because I know if we get on that one, we might not come off of it. So, so we might have to bring that back for a whole nother episode. But so I'm gonna go to where we were supposed to go. When I saw, I just did a drive-by. I don't know what day it was. You might know before me. I did drive-by one day last week. I try my best to stay off social media, and I only go on there when I'm going to our group chats and stuff like that, or people who I rock with that's connected to the channel. And then because I find myself wasting time doing it, so I try my best not to be on there as much as possible. But I just so happened to be doing a drive-by, and in the process of doing the drive-by, I see you was on a live, and you was talking about how significant not only communicating with our ancestors are and building a relationship and a rapport with our ancestors, but I think the thing that really struck something with me that I was like, yo, that's dope, is you were speaking to the point of, and hopefully I get it right, but you were speaking to the point of a lot of us who are in the tradition, we work with our ancestors, or at least talk about working with our ancestors, but what are we doing to assist our ancestors to remove the trauma that they might be dealing with even in the ancestral realm? Or what kind of like helping or assisting or healing can we do for them here in the physical realm to help alleviate or eliminate some of the trauma that they dealt with here in the physical realm before they transition? I'm like, damn, that's dope, man, because it made a lot of sense the way you broke it down. I don't know if I'm saying it exactly how you were saying it, but hopefully I'm at least in the ballpark, because when I heard him, like, yo, I've never heard nobody like even remotely close, like say something like that. And then, you know what I'm saying, it clicked with me the way it did. I'm like, yo, that's dope. That's why as soon as I saw you Sunday, I'm like, yo, I want to have this conversation. If you schedule
yeah, you got me immediately. Yeah.
I'm like, we gotta bring that thing. We gotta bring that thing to the globe.
I'm like, right now.
The people need to know. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
So how did that come about? Like, how did you even like? Was that just were they talking to you to kind of give you that to give to the world, or like how did?
Absolutely that, and like I said, I'm an avid reader, so I'm gonna say this to everybody, whoever's listening: your gifts. If you are an African, your gifts should be used for the direct liberation and sovereignty of Africans. If you are not using them in part or in total or working diligently to that goal, your gifts are useless. Or better yet, even worse, they're not useless. They're being used by your oppressor because they're being utilized. And if they're sitting dormant, then they're being utilized by your oppressor because you're putting that energy probably to make your money to survive. So therefore, I have a gift. I have a gift of the I have the power of the tongue. I have the gift to speak. And ancestors speak through me. So sometimes people will say, "You said da 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 da," and I'll be like, "I have no idea what they're talking about." When you hit me on Sunday, I was like, "No, that sounds like something I say," but I had to go look because what happens is. But as Ye taught me with this, and if you study, you'll know Olokun is the owner of the cinema.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, Olokun is Olokun. That's why you have hidden messages in movies. Olokun is the owner of the hidden. Olokun is the owner of the cinema. So a lot of times, because I used to be like, I got a social media addiction. People always like, oh my gosh, she's so funny. And I met a lot of people through social media, but I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I hear people and they be like, no, I'm wasting time. But so I feel like I be wasting time sometimes too. So I'm like, let me use it for what it's supposed to be used for. So these downloads that I get, they can't just be my brain needing to rattle them around because it's something I know. Sometimes it's stuff for me, but most of the time it's my purpose is I came back to this earth with a distinct mission of helping Africans re-Africanize themselves. That's why that's what I chose from Orun. That is why I came back. Ifa has helped me become clear on that destiny, and so I'm done running from it. So you told me when you told me Tuesday, I'm like, all right, listen, I am Olokun and I am Ogun, so I could be loud and rambunctious when I'm around comfortable people, but I will be stagnant and in the background in a heartbeat, believe it or not. It's just most folks don't know that about me because I go. If I got to be a slave in this lifetime, I want to be liberated from the oppressor. And let me. This is not everybody's destiny. This is mine. Let me be a servant to Africans. Let me gather all the information. Let me put it in a way that anybody can understand it. Because everybody not meant to. Everybody can read, but that ain't how everybody absorb information. And sometimes you'll get the information where it's put in a way that's not so plain for the everyday African, but that doesn't make the everyday African any less intelligent. They just this is not our natural language, and we are hyper intelligent. So our greatest form of communication and absorption is memory. We didn't have books all over Africa because we didn't need them. We had culture and tradition that we passed things along, and until others came in, until Oyinbo came in to disturb our culture, that was a trusted thing that was able to happen, which is why this culture is in America to today, because Oyinbo didn't understand when he stole children, thinking he was removing the power. When he stole children, he didn't understand he was still in priest. We get on our journey early. When he stole them 13 and 8 and 9, those children were already in the school of learning their culture and tradition and holding it and learning those teachings. That's how this is kept. I had a past life experience. I've had several dreams, And there's this past life experience where I'm being drugged onto the ship and I'm pregnant. I'm big belly pregnant. And they're dragging me, kicking and screaming. And they don't take my husband. And I literally grab some of the sand and shove it in my mouth because I know I'm not coming back. And I'm thrown onto the boat. And that was my second past life experience. So I know for a fact in my spirit that I'm African, and that I did that voyage at least twice, which lets me know spirit can go where it goes. So, yeah, I think it's important that we understand that. Also, it comes to me for how spirits come to me. Spirits come to me. Sometimes they come to me elevated and understanding. Sometimes they come frantic and not knowing what's going on. And sometimes they come like they left. They got attitude. They don't want to play. They don't want no parts. They don't know why folks are sitting down trying to call them. And sometimes it's hard for us to understand on this side, especially when you're giving your faith to an ideal. And it's maybe not your gift. Like that. I've been sitting in a reading. I'm like, yeah, no, she don't want to talk to you. And you know, and so people be like, what you mean? I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Your auntie don't want to talk to you. She's like, no, and she's upset about something. So that's how I know that exists. Also, if you got your grandma eyes and your granddaddy nose, you got their trauma. Because who healed it? Who healed it? Who healed it? Who we know for a fact. And then those of us who need Oyinbo re-science, now their science is even telling us how the emotions of the mother affects the baby in the womb.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If that DNA holds cellular memory.
Yeah.
If you have a traumatic experience and your stomach begins to hurt and your back begin to hurt, now your body is holding those things. If nobody heals that, and you create life, and you pass life on to a woman, that's your seed. Your seed got whatever you got in you. And we were a lot of us were not only born. I'm sorry, I got a cat. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us were not only born in trauma, we were born of trauma. And so what really brought this home for me is my latest readings have been concentrated on the breeding farms. And that is the last frontier. And I feel like if Africans study that more, Black people study that more, African Americans, the lost souls, the Negroes gonna be the Negroes. They gone. We can't worry about them. I'm never talking to them unless they choose to elevate. But there are lost souls. There are people who they operate how they operate because they do not know any better.
Yeah.
Negroes know better and they reject it. That's a different thing. But there are people who don't know any better. And I encourage anybody to study the horrors of breeding farms and then study the magnitude of them. Because that's the thing, like they can't hide everything, right? So we'll hear about the horrors of breeding. We know, and I don't know if I can use profanity on your platform, so I'll just say MF. We know the term motherfucker comes from the breeding practice of Europeans. Because see, we didn't practice that mess. So when they get us, we not inbred. And they don't sit around and say, oh, don't breed a Wolof with a Akan, or don't breed a Igbo with a Yoruba, or don't breed or don't breed an Ashanti with effect. Don't breed. They don't say that. So when we get here, they crossbreed us. These subcultural divides we've held for tens of thousands of years are dismantled traumatically and radically immediately.
Yeah.
You got ancestors that was put together. Sometimes children don't make it because you got two ancestors put together that in the spirit realm beefing.
Yes.
And got beef for centuries.
Yeah.
Generations on in. And they children can't make, because the DNA don't even want to go together. That sometimes that happens. And so we don't study this enough. But breeding farms is important because we got to know Virginia's number one export was us. Virginia, like to tell you, was tobacco, but they didn't know how to grow the tobacco at first. At first, they didn't know how to grow crops in Virginia, so they grew niggas. And we're not talking, we got to understand that this is the thing we don't talk about. We the same way, like when we say chattel, we mean chattel. When we say cattle, we mean cattle. And the same way, you have small farmers that might have a small dairy farm and they serve locally, and you got a little larger farm, and then you got these mass producing farms. They had that. There was Africans who never knew anything but fucking. And not having sex, not making love. They knew nothing but fucking. They were born on breeding farms. And because they were born of a good stock or a good buck, they might sell their brothers and sisters, but they keep one. And they grow him on a breeding farm. And his whole existence, they don't worry about if he can talk. They worry about if he can understand commands. And he sat there, and his whole purpose was to have sex. I like to read the slave narratives. Now you have to, when you go through the slave narratives or listen to them, I prefer to listen to them on YouTube, the slave narratives. So back in the 30s, 40s, to in part to offset the poverty of the nation, because if you having a Great Depression, your first people without jobs are your journalists, your people with jobs that may not be necessarily necessary for people to survive. And so the government, to give these people jobs, sent them out with these giant recorders to record the stories of the remainder of those who grew up in slavery or who were manumission from the plantation. And so they tell stories, and they tell stories from what they know. And some of the stories are filtered because who trusts white people, right? At that time. So they Master was beautiful. They tell these fabulous lies about the life they had. And then, but some of them tell it real because they don't know no better. And I remember one narrative, and I can't remember the brother's name, but he's bragging about that his father was a prize buck and was said to have sired 120 children in his lifetime. Because that was his claim to fame, that he was a prize buck. They would take your granddaddies and your uncles and lease them out to go out and rape, because that's what it is. To go out and have sanctioned rape be forced upon the women of another enslaved women of another plantation. The moment she began to smell. Well, or go into her cycle. So if this grown buck is 30 years old and he's been doing nothing but raping Black women for 15, 16 years at the command of his masters, that is his job. And so what else does he know? Of course, sex in the act of it feels amazing. He's allowed to be with multiple women. So that's all he knows. This is all he knows. This is not and what we got to know is this is not a one-off story. This is a commonality. They had whole farms of this. They had whole farms where women having 25 children.
Yeah.
No womb should be carrying 25 children and in the heart of slavery. So the women were on these breeding farms and they just pump out these children. There's no care for a child on a breeding farm.
Well, I don't want to interrupt, but you tapped into, I feel like this need to be a whole damn curriculum in university studies. Like literally. I don't know if it is yet, but if it ain't, damn it need to be, because like what you're saying here, I'm listening and my mind be going a million miles per hour when I'm listening to people like you speak, because I'm just sitting there and I'm unpacking it all and I'm like, yo, this is nuts, because there are so many different, I feel like different, you know, like you do a diagram and you create a chart and you got the different, like let's say use a spider chart or whatever. You got different leg for this leg is this, da. All I could think about is all the different levels and layers of fuckery that we still deal with to this day, that I feel like was rooted from this entire process of what you're talking about.
You better know
I'm talking about the brothers who don't, the ones that have children that don't take care of their children. And mind you, those numbers are dwindling tremendously in our generation. Because the brothers I know, I don't know too many deadbeat dads. And if I do, I ain't rocking with you because I don't even roll with nobody who don't take care of their children. But however, I know that there are more men now that take care of their children than I've ever knew for me, in our age range growing up. So shout out and salute to the brothers who are doing the right thing. But there's also a bunch of scumbags who running around just doing the same exact bullshit chattel slavery mentality energy right now as we speak. So you're really like you went to the root of a lot of different problems.
Absolutely. How do you tell a sister to stop twerking and showing her sexual prowess when it's in her DNA? Like twerking is so we go back to culture, right? Yeah. Moving your hips, swirling your hips releases energy from the womb. It's a beautiful thing. It should be done. Every woman should. I'll never forget growing up as a Christian woman. When my hip sway came in, I was definitely discouraged from switching my hips. And it was just my natural womanly sway to the point where it took me until coming into myself to let my hips sway. And over time, my hips got stiff. I've had to work on unstiffening my hips. But if I got up every day, if I twirled my hips for celebration, you wouldn't be tight in your hips. You wouldn't have, which causes back pain and knee pain and leg pain. But we are not allowed to move our hips. Because it's been over sexualized in this society and in the European culture. Anything we do is demonized and it's taken away from. And I just back to what I was talking about with the breeding farms. Remember, so we talking about these breeding farms, right? Then one day they woke up and said, "Y'all free. Go ahead and go. Just go. Just go." And they let monsters out on the community. If we know for a fact, we all know somebody who went into prison, maybe a little trouble, but a normal person that came out a monster. Now imagine being decades product of a breeding farm. You never had a mama, you never had a daddy. You was born on a breeding farm and they bred you because your daddy had a big long Johnson that was able to procreate everywhere. And now that's all you done for your life. And now go be free. Go figure out how to feed yourself. While other slaves might have even had skill sets, you weren't a blacksmith, you weren't a planter, you weren't a farmer. You was a motherfucker. That is what you did. You mothers. That was your job for 30, 40 years of your life. That is what you did. And they said, go be free. Or even 20 years of your life, but it's your whole life. Go be free. Go do that. Go do that. And then you got the nastiness of the European and his sexual decadence. So he'll pay for it. How do you tell women not to do these things when sometimes that got them an easier life? Sometimes that was between life and death.
Yeah.
And then you got a pretty little daughter and you train her in that too. I got a quote. And it comes from the sister Harriet Jacobs. She wrote the book Diary of a Slave Girl, and she documented her ongoings in slavery. And it says, women are considered of no value unless they continually increase their owner's stock. They are put on a par with animals. If God has bestowed beauty upon her, it will prove her greatest curse. That which commands admiration in the white woman only hastens the degradation of the female slave. We couldn't even be beautiful. We still can't. We can't be beautiful in peace. Imagine being a prize for a man for Big John because he hauled the biggest logs and won a bet for his master, and you got to warm his bed. I got to warm his bed tonight because I'm what Big John decided he wanted to have, and master throw me in there. Even when they talk about it, they use terms. We have to decipher the terms. They use terms like coercion and encouragement. So they say they encourage marriage. So the aspect of breeding was small and it was large. So we had whole farms. They did a study, and everybody can look it up. I wouldn't say nothing I made up, where in the DMV area, has the largest number of Africans that have basically inbred DNA. They all related because that was Africans was the number one export out of there. And at some point, what we have to know is at some point in America's history, every state in the Union endorsed slavery. Now, what happened is, so I don't know about you, but when I grew up, they taught us there was free states and slave states. That they gave you that impression. But what happened is the other states just stopped their slavery a little sooner. So when you get to the phase where they're having the disputes that caused the Civil War, they labeled them as free states, and they try and act like there was just this emotional push to just free us because we would just there was a group of whites that was just so sick of it. And what happened was they used the emotional part. Those who wanted abolition for monetary reasons placated to the emotions of the whites that were separated from the horrors of slavery. The whites that perpetrated the offenses was like, that's just the way of the world. You know, down here, that was just the way of the world. But when they showed those delicate white women, the flesh being ripped from the backs of pregnant women with whips. There's things we don't understand, and we always want to forget. We must never forget. But they hit us with things so hard, it tore the skin off our back. If you've never seen it, go look up a cat of nine tails. They call it a cat of nine tails because it got claws on the end and it rips the flesh from the bone. They used to beat us with stinging nettle. You know why they call it stinging nettle? Because if you pick it, it's mild. But if you use it you gather a bunch of them together and you use it as a whip, that's what they will whip house servants and small children with, because it makes small lacerations on the skin. It irritates the skin. And they used to whip us with stinging nettle because they didn't want to do too much damage to the house ones. The abuse that happened to us was so tremendous, and there was never any time to heal. There has, to this day, nobody's ever said, here, Black people, here's a break. Here's a break. Because the closest thing we ever get to a break, we start getting closer and they ready to dismantle it. When they gave us the closest thing we ever had to a piece of a break, and we still had to deal with the Klan, the mental illness was the Reconstruction era, and they immediately came back and snatched that. Then we tried to heal and keep our families together, and they gave us the ideal of integration, and they came and snatched it all back. And then they stole our children again. They stole our children.
They're still doing it.
Still doing it. Yeah. The public school system is set to rob us of African people.
Not just that, but it's also setting the tone for the damn prison system. Like, it's literally, the public school system is preschool as to the prison system as the VPK and preschool is to the public school system. It's literally the same damn blueprint. If you look at a school bus and a prison bus, identical, white paint, yellow paint. If you look at the way a school is set up, it's identical to a prison. Everything. You know what I'm saying? Subconsciously, I don't know how many people realize that.
Jefferson High School was literally designed by the man who designs prisons. And if you look at it, it has a huge quad in the middle, bunch of cell corridors. They're lettered, and at any time you could close the doors and lock anybody in them if they need a lockdown. And the quad is an open space, like a rec in a prison rec hall. Yep.
Yeah, all of it. It's all the same. You know what I'm saying? But that's when you're able to look at things from the mind's eye versus just the two eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like when the private community call, we were just talking about that the other night. And I was sharing with the tribe. I'm like, yo, we got to look at things from a trinary vision perspective. Because right now we've been conditioned to only look through these binaries with these two, but we still got another eye. You know what I'm saying? Right here. That, you know, that's more powerful than any of the others. So it's like, that's what we got to focus on. And speaking about forget, I ain't never going to forget. Shout out to, I just seen her put it in there too. Kanye said, never ever forget. Yeah, that's real. And shout out Ibatanu to the ancestors who led the Haitian Revolution, and shout out to Sade and Iyalode, because we had a very powerful ceremony that started and kicked off the same exact day that, you know, the anniversary of 1804, which was on the 21st. And when you're talking about never forgetting, no, I didn't forget. And when during that ceremony, I made damn sure I called every name that I could think of that had that warrior: Nat Turner, John Jacques Dessalines, Toussaint Louverture, Dutty Bookman, Francois Macandile, Cecilia Fatima. I called every single one of them I could think of to bring that energy, you know, because I'm like, hey, we got to get this thing cracking and we need y'all help. So we here now.
Absolutely. Here's a book I want everybody to pick up. Y'all go to the Aqaba Institute, get Baba Mwalimba Barudi's Kebuka. I'm going to tell you right now, take you some time off. Don't go to the plantation the next day after reading Kebuka, because you can't come live with me if you go in them people's job and tear it up. Because this book you're going to have to sit with. And I think it's time we sit with this. We always... I hear people a lot of times, and it bothers me when I say, I'm tired of slave movies. You haven't studied slavery enough to be tired of slave movies. You tired of slave movies. Imagine how tired your ancestors is of slavery. You have ancestors that relive the trauma they experience every day in the spiritual realm right now. Because you ain't called their name and gave them elevation in light.
Listen, but you know what? You just said something though. And somebody in the comments said something similar, but I cannot and will not watch them because the kind of energy I'm set up with, everything you just said about going to work, I won't even be able to go to the store because that energy that be stirring up in me, that's a different kind of energy. Me and Ye was talking about that Sunday.
Understand. I tell anybody, Ogun's my father. I understand. I believe death. I believe death is sometimes the kindest thing you can do. So don't. I definitely understand. But what I also know is we have a mission, and we owe it to the ancestors to channel our righteous rage. And we always need to be able to censor it. But Kebuka is a beautiful book. What I say, we tired of slave movies. I'm tired of white people producing slave movies. That's what I'm tired of. Because they always have some kind of white slave savior in them or some kind of complex. When that's not how a lot of our stories went.
No.
One thing I've never learned, and I'm a history buff. Like, I'm the kind of person, if you would have asked me what I wanted to be in 8th grade, I would tell you history teacher. So it's always been my thing. I just didn't know what to study when I was younger. So studying regular American history as they give it to me, as opposed to our story, I've done a lot of that. And so what I know is that we've had a lot of revolutions, and they don't talk about the American side of revolution. They don't talk about American Maroons. They don't talk about the real reason why they flooded New Orleans and why the New Orleans people to this day still speak such a different dialect, why the Geechee Gullah speaks such a different dialect, because they fought so ferociously that they decided at some point to leave them alone and come back later. Like they did the Maroons there are Maroon villages to this day in St. Croix.
Yeah.
To this day.
Right here in Florida. We shout out to we've had a few different guests on the channel that spoke about that. The one who I know that speaks about it the most notably though would be Professor Smalls, because he speaks about those Seminoles and the Cameroons and how, you know what I'm saying, like all that's tied together. Like there ain't no separation or proliferation in that. That's all tied together.
That is all us. That is warfare. That is us fighting. And and so, you know, another thing that burns me up when I hear people say we are not our ancestors, as if you harder. As if you harder. I know folks who, if their cell phone went down right now, they would lose it. You ever see people lose it when networks go down?
Yes.
The same people walk around with t-shirts, we are not our ancestors. I know that's right.
Yeah.
You can't go outside. We have an event outside. If it's 90 degrees, they dead and can't participate. But you talking about you ain't your ancestors. And our ancestors, we had women who picked cotton 16 hours a day with leaking breasts and babies. They had to tow the baby from one end of the row to the other, feed a baby from their breast, and keep picking cotton. If you ever bent over in a cotton field, you'll know how hard that work is. And all I did was bent over in a cotton field. The cotton bushes are low, they are sticky, and they hurt your fingers.
Oh yeah.
And you had to pick tons of it. There's a wax museum in Baltimore, and they have a huge bale of cotton. And I'll never forget, my daughter was about 10 or 11 when we went, maybe a little younger. And I'm like, you would have been in the fields picking cotton. So I said, bend over. When we visited, I said, bend over. And I pushed down on her back and I said, keep bending. And I pushed a little harder and I said, keep bending. And then she got to the point where she had tears in her eyes. She was like, Mommy, stop. That's a piece of what your ancestors went through. That's a piece of what your ancestors went through. Never forget. And they picked cotton. We are not only our ancestors, we are, I love y'all, but as a total, not just me, you, but as a total, we are failing them miserably. Because our ancestors were the greatest of warriors. Do you know what type of spirit it took to have enough faith in the future to not take your baby out? To let your grandma, your great-grandma, your great-great-grandma live? Do you know the pain and the heartache that they went through? I was reading this brother, he wrote a book about his ordeal in slavery, a brother named Friday Jones. Look up the story of Friday Jones. And Friday Jones said, how horrible for a man to stand and see his wife whipped and her wounds bathed in salt water and not be able to protect her. Friday Jones fought for his family and got his family back, only to have to fight again. And his sons, 2 oldest sons, were sold off. And then him and his wife were sold. And the planter promised they'd never sell his wife. And then a year later, they sold his wife and his youngest child. What that man supposed to do with that? I think we spend too much time pointing our fingers at each other. There are things we can do better. There are things that we are certainly responsible for. But what we've got to know is what we are responsible for is our healing. Every African, I do not care what your spiritual system is, should have an ancestral altar. Because whether you're Christian, Muslim, atheist, whether you practice Yoruba, no matter what you Ifa, whatever you practice, you have a belly button. It means you are connected to someone. Somebody. Birth is a most traumatic and beautiful experience. Women literally go to the brink of death to bring souls, wrap them in flesh, and return them to this world.
Yeah.
How dare you not tell those people thank you?
Yeah.
How dare you not tell those people thank you? So I think that's something we have to understand, and that those horrors they went through, the reason we have to sit with them is to help understand our values and where we go. Also, a lot of us, because I know on this side of those of us that do have ancestral altars, and a lot of us are the person in our family. Some of us have families that at best they accept that we different, and sometimes that's all you can ask, you know. If I teaches us there's difference between egg bay and Egun, right? We got a crew we hung out with up there. They may not be blood, some may be blood, but a lot of us, our families are they think something wrong with us.
Real quick, I hate to interrupt, but you dropping so many jewels, which I already knew.
I go out my brain.
No. Listen, I be sitting here chilling. I'm soaking it all in, and then it just be like, look, I be hearing spirit be like, okay, you gotta ask. So it's like playing double dutch. I be sitting there, all right, can I just but and I'm not going to be long, but you said something just now, and it just brought me back to Sunday when you spoke about what we spoke about, but I was listening more than talking. When you was talking about how the significance of the Egungun and the ancestors, and also with the Egbe, right? A lot of people are really familiar with the Egbe. That's another call too that we got to get into. But with that being said, you said every person of every spirituality or every spiritual faith, what have you, should have an ancestral shrine, right? And then also we spoke about, the significance of the Egbe, which is our spiritual twins in heaven, right? In a room. Okay, so now let's say, because we got people that are on multiple different stages and phases of their spiritual journey on the channel. And what I love about the feedback that I get is it helps me to then get with people like you to speak on specific topics for specific reasons. And so I know that you're a person who has a gift and the ability to be able to transmute or translate messages from spirit and the ancestors. Now it makes sense just from a little bit of time we spoke as to why you were speaking about that topic that day when I was blessed to cross paths with it, which I'm grateful because that's why we have this show or this conversation. But what about the people who are afraid or who have no idea of how to connect with their ancestors? They've never heard of Ancestral Shrine, or they've heard of it, but they have nobody who can guide them. They didn't have a yay like we had. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what would you give those people? Because I love the message and I feel like it's powerful, and it is. I agree with you a million percent. But because I know some people aren't there and don't have any access outside of, you know what I'm saying, listening to things like this, the shows like this, what would you give them as a person who has the ability to get it directly from the source? What would you give them to start that process with venerating or at least honoring their ancestors?
I would say, first of all, if you Black, 9 times out of 10, you grew up with some sort of, especially in your grandma, auntie house, you grew up with some kind of ancestral shrine anyway. Just unknowingly, your good old Christian grandma probably had one, or everybody got an auntie, or maybe their grandmother, or maybe their mother was that keeper of the family records. You know, that person that knew everybody's business. She might be a little messy. She might not be your favorite person to talk to, but she knows stuff and she keeps stuff. Growing up for me, the only difference is we don't mix the living with the dead. But growing up for me, there was always a place in that aunt's home with pictures of everybody. And she a staunch Christian and she don't play them games at all. She don't know she got an ancestral shrine. But she do, because the ancestors will do it. They'll want to be seen and they'll press on your heart. Next thing you know, you come across a picture of them. I'm gonna share a story and I'm gonna move on. So I didn't have my younger sister passed, Leandra Holly Badateron, in 2011. And for a long time, I didn't feel like I was a good sister to her because we were just night and day. Like, she was definitely ahead of her time. Like, the fact that she chose to go home makes sense. Like, she came an old lady. Like, that's just who she was. And in my 20s, I was the opposite. And so we didn't have a mean relationship. I felt like, you know, when she passed, you know, I just feel like you could have done more. And I was carrying that for a while. And I had this Bible on my altar. And one day I looked at the Bible and I noticed it was my brother's baptismal Bible. My brother's still here. So I was like, ooh, let me get this off the altar. It's the wrong Bible to have on the altar. His name is on it. Let me get it off. And when I went to get it off, I opened the book. And the book had been wet at some point, but there's this picture that's kind of faded of my sister at her prom. Full picture of her favorite picture. She's absolutely beautiful in the picture. If anybody look at my ancestral altar, I know people wonder why, like, you got all of these pictures, why you got this beat up picture of your sister, and that's the reason for it. And when it pulled words from the Bible, and the words that were kind of like stuck, that had got ripped, it said, it was like, forgiveness and forever were there. And that was her message for me, because I had been sad because people come to me all the time. So I thought I had done something wrong because she hadn't come to me. Because this happened maybe 2018. So she had been going a while and she hadn't come to me directly. And then she came in a good old fashioned in a dream that night, like kind of knocked and woke me up. It was crazy. But
let me ask you this real quick. What's Olukun's number?
Huh?
What's Olokun, the number for Olokun?
4.
4, okay.
4.
And you said she transitioned when?
She transitioned in 2011.
She came back in 2018?
Yeah, she came back in 2018. But also my personal number's always been 7. Like, that's just been a number of completion for me, right?
That's
like,
why, like I said,
and
my mind
Yemo's
goes out.
And you know, Yemo's job runs really close with Olomitutu. Yeah.
So that 7 years was.
Yeah, for healing the family, because that's where you go to for familiar bonds and motherly energy. You go to your moja when there's maternal issues or feminine issues with the women in the family, your moja heals that. And so I have been working with her closely at the time. So I definitely received that. But Olokun has been doing some amazing things in this 4 year. I'll be 44 this year. So it's been that kind of year. Between Olokun and Obatala, 44 and 8. And it's a.
Well, look, that's why I say that my mind got to look. I promise on everything. I normally have a notebook, but today, because I always take notes. So today I didn't have no notebook. So I used my number book. You know what I'm saying? As I'm taking my note, and so when you were talking, the numbers are like, so
absolutely,
right there, that explains it all.
Yeah, it explains a lot. But as far as setting up your altar, I want everybody to know I'm a hoodoo girl to the heart. Before and my life path will also told me never forget the traditions of your elders. So I don't remove hoodoo as as it's a part of my culture. And so back to also, yes, we have culture in America as Africans in America, but it is an African culture. And what we think is culture is not culture, it's the expression of culture. And that's a different story though. We'll talk about that another time. But I do want to say the way you set up your ancestral altar is simple. You want to start with pictures of those that have passed if you have them. If you have pictures where you're mixing the living and the dead, I would go get a copy of the picture and remove the living from it. You don't want the living on your altar. If you do not have pictures, you can write their names because you want to call their names. They'll hear you when you call. On your altar, my altar has 9 glasses of water, but that is because that's how I was taught. But before I was taught 9 glasses, 1 glass of water, because you want to represent the 4 elements, because the elements are our ancestors as well, because we all come from that. We have fire, earth, water, wind in our bodies. So you want something that represents those 4 things. For me, I have water, candle, a plant, and I have a fan, but that's because I carry fans everywhere. I got one sitting right here. There's always a fan nearby. So I have those items as my basic items. From there, you could grow it with things that remind you of those people, or maybe their vices that they had. They'll speak to you. You may not smoke cigarettes, then you all of a sudden you got an urge for a cigarette. That's not you. Go light one and put it on your altar. You may not be a heavy drinker, but somewhere out of nowhere you want a shot. That's not you. God. Go put it on the altar.
That is so real. Oh my
God. So you might have those moments. I got a split small liquor bull for my stepdaddy, and a strawberry soda for my uncle, because that was his thing. So those things help you commune. And I will also say this: if you want to strengthen your ancestor altar, go sit with your elders. That was my point I wanted to make earlier. A lot of us, especially in the tradition, and we're estranged from family, we don't want to deal with them old people no more. They still talking about Jesus. So what? So what? Stop being mad at them people talking about Jesus. Yeah. Unless they are trying to call you a demon, let them talk. That is how they view the world. Yes. Your ancestors do not care that they talk about Jesus. Sometimes your ancestors gonna want you to talk about Jesus. There's times I can't get through till I go to my altar and sing some gospel. I got an auntie, Aunt Mamie, about out the room, who when I was little, she used to love me singing A Rough Side of the Mountain. If I want something done, I better go. I'm coming up, Jesus. I better go. And I'm going to sing it on the rough side. I'm going to sing it for her. She going to know I love her. And also, there are days, my granddaddy is a beautiful man. If anybody's ever met my granddaddy, 95, still kicking and going. But he's from a different generation, and sometimes he was a little misogynistic, and I don't want to be dealing. But my grandma, even though they were divorced years before I was ever born, my grandma will literally go see about your granddaddy. And I can't move till I go sit with the man. You can't tell me you love your ancestors and you neglect your elders. I'm not telling you to put yourself in harm's way. That's not what I'm telling you. That's not what I'm telling you. But for a lot of us, it's just usually they annoying. You know what I'm saying? Or we don't see eye to eye. Or some of us, we just vain and we don't make time. Some of us, them people ain't done nothing to us. We just forget the value of sitting with our elders. So that's another way to honor your ancestors. Sit with your elders or your elders. Some of them just elders. They may not be elders. I'm not telling you. This is my personal belief. Everybody got their own thing. I don't put those who were known rapists, child molesters, or murderers of family members. I don't put them on my altar. I don't call them. Some people say you're supposed to call them to elevate like that is their decision. I just feel like those can be dangerous people. Now, that's not to say I don't put murderers up there. Because I got I got a step granddaddy who, when we talk about revolution in the bloodline, my great grandmother was a Garveyite, and her husband had to leave the South because he killed a white man on the railroad tracks. That's a story in my family that I was given before I knew anything about an ancestor altar. So if I got problems, I'm gonna call him because I know I don't know nothing else, but he about that life. So I calls who I needs to call when they about that life. So
real quick, I'm a double dutch in and double dutch out.
Okay.
I promise on everything I love, boy. When I tell you, and the tribe know me, I'm gonna keep it a buck. But boy, when I tell you, ER has like you got some of the biggest big mama energy. I promise that I've been around. But like seriously, I don't kiss nobody ass. I keep it a buck. I'm gonna call it how I see it. But you do. But the other thing that I love is like, don't you ever for 1 second get shit fucked up because she will let that Olokun Ashe energy up out this motherfucker. I ain't never seen it, don't want to, but I know it's there. I know it's there. So I'm saying all that to say, boy, you ain't playing, and I feel like that ancestor walk with you and he talk with you and he there with you all day, every day.
You do.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm the #1 fan of the black man. I hold it to my heart. I believe black men do not get enough credit for the magic that they do. I believe black men are absolutely amazing. I believe for God so loved the world that she created the black man. And I definitely believe that. And she loves it so much that she kept him for herself. The most beautiful creature that she could have on this earth. So with that, and a lot of men walk with me. My first dafa I ever received from my Eolosha, she said, "Who all the men that walked in with you?" I was like, "Who?" That makes sense though. I do walk with. I feel like I walk with an entourage and I'm fully protected, and it's important to me. Safety is very important to me because I feel like we live in an unsafe world, and if we elevate our ancestors, they will lead us. My ancestors led me to the Olafemi family. My ancestors led me to a safe place to develop my relationship with the Orisha. The Orisha are our ancestors. Olodumare is our oldest ancestor. Africans have a source. In the Eurocosmology, the source is Olodumare. Don't get it twisted. We are all reflections of Olodumare's light. You got a piece of the light, I got a piece of the light. We are all reflections of that light. The Orisha are Orisha, but you have an Ori, and it is your Ashe. Orisha is your Ori. And your whole purpose in life is to fulfill the destiny you choose. Your ancestors' whole purpose in life is to help you fulfill that destiny because they got to return, and they don't want to return to no mess. They certainly didn't get you out of slavery to try and return to it, and that's what they're trying to take us back to. If anybody's listening to that, if anybody catches anything out of anything I said today, please catch that. And we have means of combating that because we have a sixth sense that is real, that is powerful, that is movable. We have been severed from it. And if it wasn't real, they wouldn't work so hard to sever us from it. It is in your original tongues. Learn an African language, whichever one you choose. It's not as beneficial as Spanish and French as you may think. Learn an African language. I say learn Ifa. The only reason I say Ifa is because it is the largest. Yoruba is because it is the largest African language with the least amount of alteration. Swahili has a lot of Arab alteration in it. So the language teaches you the culture. So that is why I suggest Yoruba. That is why I chose to learn to study Yoruba on top of choosing it as my spiritual system. So therefore, in order to understand the people and their culture and their spiritual system, you have to have a better grasp on their language.
Sure.
And so I want all Africans to be free. I want us to be liberated. I want us to be sovereign. I want us to return to ourselves. We've been here. That's it. We are the R. Ever since Obatala came down on the Puele chain and laid the sand, and we got kicked out of heaven because that's a story. That's a story for another day. That's how that's the story of Olokun. Olokun was here all by herself, minding her business. And humans were up there running amok in heaven, and the Rumale was like, they got to go. And then they were like, yeah, but you know how Olokun is. She don't like nobody in her space. And so it's not for another day. I guess it's for the day. She don't like nobody in her space. So the Rumale embodied a chameleon with different aspects of who they are. You know, Ogun gives them power, Shango gives them charisma, Oshun gives them beauty, and the chameleon, and so on and so forth. And the chameleon goes to Olokun's domain, and she's down there making beautiful beads in her beautiful, long, flowing, shiny robes, minding her business. And the chameleon say, hey, Olodumare and the crew say, humans got to come down here. And she's like, nope, nobody's here. I've been seeing how humans been tearing up Orun. Yeah, no, it's not happening. And so she goes to change her robe, and when she comes back, the chameleon is in the same robe as her. And then she goes to change again, and she comes back, and the chameleon has matched her outfit again. And she's like, whatever power this is, got to be powerful enough. This is a story I got from the book Odu Ifa. And so she allows humans to come down. And so therefore, and there's many stories of the story of creation. So there's no right or wrong. It's just a parable of that energy. And so then Obatala is allowed to come in, on the Apole chain and lay the sand, and humans can come here. So that is my mission. I want Africans to look in the mirror and see themselves as African. Because when you see yourself as African, you'll have a different compassion for your fellow African, even the lost ones. You'll want to be liberated. You'll want to be separate. You'll want to be free. You'll want to fight. And so that's what I got. Bibi for Hodie all day.
Woo! Yep. So I'm gonna take a water break real quick. I'm gonna double dutch into a water break.
Okay.
Boy, listen here, boy. Look, so yeah, we definitely already know how this is gonna go. We're gonna definitely have to make this a regular. I have to get with you to see how often we can make it happen.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I'll get with you off there, but I would love to have you in the private community, because then we can go all the way in, like no, you know what I'm saying, no filters, no holds barred.
Okay.
Like, we can go all the way.
Would like that as well, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, we're gonna do it 2 layers here. We're gonna do it for Front Street, and then we're gonna do it for for those that invite only. So that's how we're gonna do that thing. Because certain levels and certain layers of conversation we can have here, and of course we all know it's something that we can't. But this was powerful, man. Like, it really was. I knew it was gonna be. And so I'll leave because I know we got to close out soon. Tribe, I got it, y'all. I'm gonna share the link real quick. Tribe, we got another live coming. Shout out to Wuna. She just started another podcast that I'm gonna be a guest on, which I'm proud to be, on her platform as a guest. We're gonna be doing that at 9:30, Tribe. So if y'all could join us on that one, here's the link. I shared it in the comments too. But with that, this has been a powerful conversation, and I knew it was going to be. I couldn't wait to get it in and get it popping, because I knew it was going to be exactly what it was. So with you and and you're very multidimensional, because you have a lot of different gifts and a lot of different skills that translate to a lot of different skill sets and versatility, right? So one of the things that I love the most is when you said that it doesn't matter what spiritual system you're in or what religion you're in, by this father. We have a mixture of people, due to the fact that I feel like, for me personally, I take pride in the vision of United We Stand, Divided We Fall, right? So we have people here who are probably from the Nation of Islam. I know there's Christians that watch the channel. I know there's people here from, all walks of life. And we have people here from all nationalities. I know we got European folks here because they respect truth. So those are the people who I fuck with, because they fuck with me and they about truth. We have people of Spanish descent, Asian descent. Like, I see the analytics and I see the comments, like the people who chime in. So we got people from all walks of life all over the globe who rock with us because they rock. I feel like they rock with the truth and the authenticity. With
that's all we after. That's it.
Yeah. But with that, there's also a demographic, and there's also a narrative that's going on, and that's a whole nother series, not a conversation, a series within itself that I would love to address, but where there's an energy that's out there that's trying to create a divide between
melanated. It's always existed, though, right?
People, melanated people.
We know why.
We know why. The continent, right? Or who are indigenous to these Americas, right? And then they're trying to pit those who come from the continent of Africa versus the melanated folks who are indigenous to the Americas, right? So if we're going to talk to the tribe, we're going to tell everybody, like, it don't matter what which religion or whatever you in, we all should have an ancestral shrine. What would you give to us as a collective? And then if you can't throw a little nugget out there for those who move on that energy or frequency in regards of maybe trying to create the division of like warring between so-called, what is it, FBA, I think they call it, Foundational Black, whatever. Yeah, that thing.
Well, let me tell you right now. Let me tell you, because I love this one, and it'll be sweet and short. Just as I said earlier, they didn't care if you was Wolof, Akan, Ashanti, when they bred you up. By the time they captured you and put you on that plantation, they didn't care if you was here when they got here. So if you're still here, your people came through chattel slavery in some part or some way. If you are sitting here, you have about 10,000. If you are sitting here, you have, I'm sorry, my cat fell, y'all. If you are sitting here, you have about 10,000 ancestors that were just generational here. That's like 5, 6 generations, something like that. I don't know. But you got like 10,000. If you think every last one of them was indigenous to this land, you do not understand slavery. If you think every last one of them came over in the hull of a slave ship, then you do not understand slavery. The best way I can describe slavery as in how intrinsic it was and normalized at the time is it was just like these electronics. Today's day and times, we couldn't imagine living without all these devices. That is exactly how intrinsic slavery was to the economy and the fabric of the world at one point, and to the world. So if you look like me, if you look like me, your roots are African. If your people came before Columbus, if you believe that your people came before Columbus, then that does not an indigenous make. That just means you came before Columbus. You were an African, because Africans taught the European. The European did not have ships that could sail the 7 seas until the Moors came in and taught him how to sail that. He had no idea. That's why. That's what he does. He makes up things. That's why he thought. That's why he kept telling people the world fell off. You're gonna fall at the end of the world, because he couldn't fathom traveling any further, because he didn't have seaworthy ships that could make that voyage until the African taught him how to make those ships. So therefore, we were traveling the world. Mansa Musa's predecessor traveled the world long before.
Abukari, right?
Right. Traveled the world long before. We were here, but we are still African. This is not to be confused with millions of years of evolution where everybody originates in Africa. No. The African is the only humanoid that walks the planet, and no Diop taught us, Sheikh Diop Ibadah Tyrone taught us that no two land masses produce the same phenotype. You have wide nose, high cheekbones, all of this because you are African, and that's okay. And you have people that were here before Columbus, and you have descendants of you made, because we're not all made of the same fabric. We just have pieces of the same fabric. You may have Native Americans in your bloodline that were here before Columbus and before the Africans that are you that traveled here, and we're all still family. And let's just say you disagree with all of that. Guess what happens when the police pull you over? Guess what happens when your baby is in those schools? Guess what happens when they got their MAGA hat on and they see you? So let's just say you disagree with all of that I just said on history, and you got everything you agreed. That's fine, but understand, the enemy is collective, and he sees you as the same. So what we have to do is let all of that go. Let your ancestors settle it. Don't spend no time trying to convince me I'm Native American. I won't spend no more time trying to convince you African. But I will tell you, if you look like me and I can trust you, then we rock it. If we understand that we got to batten down the hatches and close ranks, and I encourage anybody, whatever your belief system is, don't fight with anybody else. Get with your people and close ranks. Get practical things down. Learn how to grow some food. If you are a meat eater, learn how to process meat. If you sitting around here eating 10 wings and fries, but scared to take the head off a chicken, you're going to be hungry one day. It's coming. If you can't go out your door and tell what's edible and what's poisonous, you may not make it. If you don't know how to take some flour or take some dried up chickpeas, grind them down and make a bread, you're not going to make it. The time is coming where it's going to be that serious, and it's going to happen so swiftly that anybody watching this is just going to remember when I told you this. So, and guess what? If you stay ready, like old folks say, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I want nothing more than be absolutely wrong in what I'm telling you. I would love to be wrong. I would love for you to say, Olomitutu, that ain't never happened. You was just talking crazy on that show 20 years ago. I would love for the day to come where it never comes to what I'm telling you is coming. But I know what I've seen in my dreams, and I know what the ancestors keep telling me to tell everybody. I didn't think I was ready for this show tonight. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I didn't think I was ready, but I asked the ancestors to speak and what messages they have for Africans to help me fulfill my destiny. I came here to help Africans save themselves. So close ranks, learn how to grow food, build community, get off of social media. And I don't care if you find one family, find a family. Heal yourself, get a wife. All these black men with all this black power, knowledge, and understanding, get a wife. We ain't that hard. I know you think we are. We're not. We're not that hard to get. Get a wife. Get a wife. Heal yourself and love a black woman properly. If you got mama issues, fix it. Sisters, get a husband. I know you want one, but be a wife and get a husband and learn to be quiet sometimes. Listen, I know. But listen sometimes. Close ranks, build family, open your home, educate your children earnestly about this culture, about your culture, about your history. Close ranks. Learn how to use weapons, learn how to use defense. No black woman should be no black person, period, but no black woman should be without a weapon or defense. We should travel in twos. Me and my sisters got a rule about the buddy system. 2-2 is what we call it. 2-2. We travel in a 4-pack if we out and about, and if one goes to the bathroom, one go with them. We must protect ourselves at all times. We must teach our children to protect themselves. We must teach our children to advocate for themselves. We must teach our children that, another thing I'm leaving y'all on. Don't reprimand your children in front of others. Always show a united front in front of others. Reprimand them, and it goes and never reprimand an adult, because what are you doing? But also don't beef with your mate in front of others. Carry it home. Build strong communities. You spend your Saturdays doing picnics in the park for black people in your community. Doesn't matter what they believe in. Doesn't matter what they got going on. Anybody knows for like 3 years straight, my house was just open. Is 2025 I kind of been more reserved energy because I've been building with self, but everybody knows my house is still like that. If we want to have a party, we can have a party at my house, because we're gonna build and we're gonna learn, because I want to see you relaxed. I want to see you chilling, getting a little drink, and if you smoke, do a little smoke, playing spades, because that's when I'm gonna see your character. Learn that nation building is fun. You don't have to zone out and forget. And the people I build with are the people I party with. The people who I chill with and hang with are the people I work in the community with. We have a garden day. We build gardens in the community. And we didn't know what we was doing either. We just knew we had to grow food. And so in exchange for us learning how to grow food, We exchange that with people. We barter their land, big or small, teach them how to grow food. We learn how to grow food. We all partake and we eat a little healthier, a little bit at a time. And it's been a tremendous transformation. Shout out to my Grow with Love Egg Bay. Shout out to my Aunt Family Farm. When I tell you, Africans are on the move. Don't let anybody fool you into thinking otherwise. And you can do anything through your ancestors that strengthen you. Just close ranks. Find you a spiritual teacher. I'm available. I'm Olomitutu Ifayemi. I am available for any questions or concerns. You can find me on Facebook. On Instagram, it is I Am Your Sister Tria. TikTok, I think I'm Tria813. I just tell you guys all of that. If you want to reach out to Orisha Baby and ask for my phone number. It's fine. It's fine. Don't think I'm being funny if I don't answer the phone. I'm not trying to say I'm not always this energy, but I will answer. You can text message me and tell me you saw me on the show and you like to discuss some things. You can reach out to me in Messenger. I am open. If I know I sound like an old lady. That's your spirit. I ain't been in the tradition that long, but I know some elders that know some things.
The hell with that. I'm gonna respectfully interject. No, hell to the no.
You know?
That's what I was about to send you a message to see how you was feeling about tonight. I saw, and shout out to, I'm not gonna put their name out there, but shout out to, there was a tribe member who commented on that post. It was like, I reached out to you and I pulled my message back because I got connected with him. He was able to help me, but I am so grateful to see both of y'all collaborate on this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Sister Maria. Man, Sister Maria been rocking with me for years, man.
I ain't gonna let you slide, but hey, look, you got what stripes that I got, so don't go there with that. Don't go there with that. No, we gonna put that big
I go where the ancestors need me, man. I go where the ancestors need me, and the ancestors have led me to a beautiful tribe. I definitely spent years thinking I was crazy. Yeah,
look,
I did. I used to
years knowing I'm crazy, and I'm goddamn proud of it too.
I was always scared of being the crazy lady on the phone of passing spirits because I can pass spirits. But yeah, Boomy again, beautiful woman, told me stop being scared. That's why you got the Orisha protection on you, and it's been accelerated because they don't have no time to waste. I'm a little old soul, but I love the marketplace. I've been here several times, and I'm gonna come back again because I enjoy fighting. I enjoy seeing Africans return to themselves. I enjoy getting my lick back. I enjoy seeing Africans return. That is my favorite. There's no greater day than a throne day to me. I love to see an African be free because in that moment, I don't care if it's 2 to 3 minutes, they are the freest they've been in centuries. Centuries. I'm telling you. Sit down and talk with us every now and then. Sit down and talk with Orisha Baby. Man, that man got so much knowledge and he be on it. Sit down and have these conversations. I'm gonna stop talking because we almost out of time.
Nah, you no, but and I'm gonna close it out, but I got goosebumps right now. I swear to God, like I got goosebumps because I everything you said, I feel it, and like the conversation that like led to this was at a throne day. Let's not get it twisted. And it was you know what I'm saying? So like let's so that within itself, you know, and then and we started the show, I had to give, you know, honor and gratitude and praises because when I was in mine, you was there. Like I'm like, man, that's how I know who really rock with me, like for real. And it's like I'm
grateful. That was a powerful time, man.
I am grateful for that.
I definitely came to the earth that weekend, man.
Listen, you don't know, like I'm telling you, like you.
I don't forget that one, man.
Listen, I appreciate y'all, man, because I didn't know what all it took, and then like to see like the whole like everybody that did come and show up, like that was dope within itself. But there were outliers, and you were one of them who was there doing extra. I'm like, yo, man, if it's anything y'all need me for, it's nothing.
Absolutely.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I know what real is, and real do recognize real, but some people try to attach themselves to things that they think is real or that they know is real because they want to benefit something out of them or for them.
Yeah.
But I know when it comes to you and everybody else who I put in that category, that's straight love. And it's like, that's what I do this for. So the people who I have cross paths with, even from the channel, that has worked with me directly, they know what it is. They know it's love. And so when I
It's
see all the other
love.
bullshit, I'm like, don't get it twisted. I ain't never said I'm the most hardest or gangstest dude in the world. I don't want to be or claim to be. But don't you
That's
ever
right.
get it fucked up if you think I'm an
Don't.
easy win. Because boy, I promise you, it's gonna be a
That
long day's
part.
work. And don't get
That
it twisted.
part.
It ain't me you got to worry about. It's who
Mm-mm.
sent me and who
It's who
ride with
sent
me.
me.
And boy,
That
you don't
part.
want none of that.
Don't want none of it. Tell anybody. You know how I know my ancestors rock for me? I remember my mom and them tell this story to this day. My great grandma, my mama, and so I grew up, like I tell you, I grew up African, and we didn't know we was African. I grew up on the same block. My grandma helped my mom buy a house on the same block as my great grandma. Cause when I got about 6 or 7, my great grandma's health started deteriorating, and she got dementia and Alzheimer's, and she needed 24/7 care. So my mama said, my grandma, so I grew up where we was all in the same block. And my great grandma house, we didn't do old folks home. So everybody was in that house helping take care of my grandma the way she took care of all of us. And so with that, one day before she got real down sick, my stepdad and my mama was fighting. And I was down to the house, and she called down there and heard the fighting. I probably called her. And she came down the street with ice pick, because if anybody heard Hortense, my middle name is Hortense. And that's her name. And so anybody heard her, it's gonna be a problem. She came down there with an ice pick, 70-something years old, and is gonna stab up everybody. You hear me? So I know for a fact you ain't gonna mess with me if I call Lorna Wilson. That she don't play about me. And she ain't played about me about a long time. I watched my grandma had it walk into the dope man house to get my bicycle back. You understand? Like, these are women in sweetest woman taught elementary school. And my uncle had sold my bike. I'll never forget. And I thought it was the most gangster thing I ever seen. My grandma went up there just as nice and sweet as her voice, said, "That's my grandbaby bicycle." Because it was a custom bike. Like, it was, my grandma had spent all kind of money on it. And he gave it back to her. And so, that's back when there was rules to the game in the 80s. And he gave it back. So, but she wasn't scared, not one bit. So these are the women that I know fight for me. So everybody else, I know they fight because they tell me their stories, but I know these women go to bat for me. I done seen them do it in real life. So I know they showing out over there. Your ancestors love you. I do want to say this, and I'll stop talking about ancestors. I'll stop talking. Some of us come from families that we may not know them. There may be damage directly in that line. Those are more difficult. Those are more intimate conversations. If you have those conditions, if you have those troubles, please reach out to me. We'll talk about that on a one-on-one base and what that may look like for you. If you have it in general, I would say put who you know and put who you haven't heard anything bad about. If you got a name, and if you don't have any first names, if you have a last name of your people, that's a start. And they will guide you where you need to go. But set your ancestral altar up. That's where for us here in America, that's where it starts. Or rework is very important, but because we are so severed from the culture, in order to make it back to the culture, we got to heal those people in between. Some of them still confused. I've heard people tell me that some of the ancestors reject their altar because they still super Christian on the other side. So I don't know what the other side look like. I think maybe it's everybody's individual reality. I don't know. So I just want you guys to know that they love you, though, collectively. I know, because sometimes I have to tell people that I can't tell y'all stuff because them people ain't asked me that. I've been in places, I'm like, some people don't know me. I can't just go up to people and tell them you talking, man. You got to tell them to come talk to me.
Man.
And so they love you, and they're waiting on you, and they want to show you how much they love you. That's another thing too. Your ancestors want to show you the power that they do possess. So just talk to them.
Wow, and more wow. And here go them numbers again, man. Like the numerology be numerology, and because when you said that, I was looking at the time we've been on, and I was looking at how many people was on, and it equaled up to 9 because it was 1 hour and 33 minutes, and I think we had 130 people in there, and them 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9, and then the 1. But yeah, that's whew, yeah, it was everything I knew it was gonna be. And look, so shout out to the tribe. Harmonious Balance. She's in the Patreon private community. I'm gonna get EI's information for y'all. I probably won't be able to do it because I gotta jump off and jump right back on with Unam, and I'm gonna share that link again. Hopefully y'all can join in and tap in with us on that. But I'll definitely have it on the show description tomorrow. And then also I'll have it in our private community in the Patreon as well.
And that's the name you see on the screen is my name on Facebook. So I'm not hard to find. It's my picture up there, and it's Olomitutu Ifayemi is the last name. So
I say. Yeah, she saw it too. She yeah. But yeah, she part of the tribe. Like that's tribe that I like for real tribe. I mean everybody is, but this is a different level. Well, yeah, boy, that's a whole other level of tribe right there, boy, for real. But man, listen, I knew it was gonna be magical, I knew it was gonna be powerful, and it was everything I knew it was gonna be. So I give thanks to you. I give gratitude to the great Olokun as well as your ancestors and your Ori. Coming through these Ashe streets and holding it down and dropping that big mama. I'm talking about notorious B.I.G. Big Mama energy.
Hey, Big Mama Blue, that's what they call her.
Yes, sir. Don't you ever get it twisted, boy. There ain't a doggone element on the planet that is more vast and got more power than
Absolutely.
job, boy. So let's not get it twisted. For real. So I appreciate you. And last, before we sign out, you got anything that you want to drop with the tribe before we get out of here?
I want to let you know, Africans, that you are powerful. You're African, not an African. Your Ori is just waiting for you to connect. There are so many powerful and beautiful things you can do. There's no accident, and I would say nobody ever meets me by accident. And that's not to say that I'm just the special one. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I have a certain message for a certain intelligence, and I either fly over the heads of those who are not special or who do not get it, or they have to come back later. So if anything resonated with you, it is because Spirit had a message for you today, as I'm always a vessel to heal Africans, and that we can do this. We all we got, and we all we need. A BB for Hodier.
I say. So let me because boy, they own me about getting that info up there. So let me I'm gonna run on Facebook at least and get at least one of your socials on there, so that way I don't they don't have to run up on me putting me into a tizzy after the show. Because y'all should know I'm never one to cop block on information, man. I always get all the guest info and share it with y'all. Y'all already know that, but because
man, it's powerful.
Right, they like, hold on.
My Ile is Ile Oshabi Feri Achosi. We are in Tampa, Florida. You are always welcome. Follow us on Facebook as well. Ile Oshabi Feri Achosi. And my Ialosha is Ialosha Oshungwade Olafime and Ianifa.
Talk about power, boy. Listen.
What? That Oshun energy is real, and it is loving, and it is all consuming, and I love it. And I owe those Africans a great debt for allowing to be a vessel. I am grateful to Olokun for reaching in and saving her daughter. The Orisha wants to help you.
Sure.
If you've ever been on the fence, I'm not telling anybody what to do. Your spiritual system is your path. But if you've ever been on the fence about a dafile or a reading or anything like that, or just a conversation, my Yolosha is a wonderful person to have that spiritual conversation with. I also do spiritual conversations. I do Ancestral, though. But Marianne De Lagoon is what we read in the house, is what my Yolosha reads. And it does set you on that path if the Orisha are your spiritual path. If that's something you like to explore. We have community events as well. I'm also a part of an organization called Grow with Love here in Tampa. We teach Black folk how to grow their own food. If you would like to ever donate your time, energy, or funds, please reach out to us. If my sister Akanke is in the chat, she can put that cash out to that organization in there. If you'd like to donate, we do good things in the community, and anything that you are able to give would be greatly appreciated. Our goal is to get sacred space and land for Africans to be free to be African on, and develop ourselves.
Ashe.
That's it.
Ashe. Tribe, I put EI's Facebook in the comments, but I'm gonna get all the information. Like I said, it probably be tomorrow. I just want to be real with y'all. It'll probably be tomorrow, but I'll have all the contact info. I'll have EI's socials. I'll have the cash apps. I'll have all that in there for y'all tomorrow. And trust and believe. Don't get it twisted. Don't be scared. This ain't no scarcity. We ain't trying to sell y'all on nothing. Hurry. Hurry up and buy. Hurry up and buy.
No,
We ain't
not
trying to
at
sell
all.
y'all. She gonna be back. She gonna be back. Trust me.
Nah. Yeah, no.
Look, I already know.
Nah.
I'm going. Look, she gonna be back in the private community as well. Matter of fact, I look forward to doing something in
Yeah,
person.
because I would love to
You know
build
what I'm
on culture
saying? Oh, yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're deeply confused about what culture is, and I think that's what I think if we clear up that confusion, we'll stop fussing with each other about it.
Yes,
Mhm.
and the mothers, and so hopefully, I don't know if I can share what you be having going on at the water, but I'll get into it later. But
I
you know
do.
what I'm saying? So I'm gonna share all that. You know, we
Okay.
I don't know about a month or so ago about some information that you wanted me to put out. I'm like, hey, say the word, man. All you gotta do is tell me now. You know what I'm saying? Like just let me know. Like I got you. But yeah, whatever we got to put out there, I'm gonna put out there, and I look forward to doing this again. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And man, I can't wait to do it again because the tribe is tribing. Boy, they round up behind. Boy, I knew they were gonna be round up, but that big mama energy, boy, that's that old boy.
I appreciate it.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Already, man. Real recognized real. I appreciate you, yeah, for real. I really do. For real. All right, tribe. So I'll get all that in the show description. I'll definitely be posting that and sharing it once I get with EI and get the links, family. But with that, you know, I appreciate all the love, support. I appreciate everybody for coming through. EI, I appreciate you. I can't wait to make it do what it do again. Definitely be hollering at you to make this happen all the time, as regular as possible, man. So with that,
all right.
Try. Appreciate the love, support, the likes, shares, comments, etc., etc. Y'all check us out on Wu Nam's podcast. I believe it's Stars of the Shrines. I got to get in there, so I don't want to get my butt kicked by her because you know running close on time.
Yeah,
but with that, I'll give it to you. I appreciate it,
so we can all join in and share in it.
Yes, sir. No, I appreciate you. I'm there right now. I'll send it to you.
I love y'all, black folk.
Yes, sir. I say. All right, tribe. I'll see y'all next episode. We out. Don't forget to please like, share, subscribe, and we are out of here. Odabo.
Odabo.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé ṣàpò ìyàgbọ́ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo ṣe ní gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́ forsake not your ancestors and praise your.